You can have 500 brick and mortars across the country, but the power of the internet is very real. I mean, Blockbuster in the States was eliminated off the planet because they didn't build Netflix, right? So I think trying to not adopt technology can be a dangerous thing. And it's been exciting to watch the studios go through this transformation and be pumped. And now they're like, what do we do next? Like to watch them get to the point where they get it now. And so it's been really exciting going through those journeys with different brands.
Welcome to episode 202 of the industry's leading business podcast for fitness owners and managers. Each week we invite business experts, coaches, authors and owners from around the world to share their expert advice with you, the FBP family. This month's interviews are brought to you by our podcast partner, Precor. Precor delivers industry-leading cardio, strength, functional training products and service to over 90 countries across the world. To find out more, visit Precor.com or click on the link in today's show notes. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I am so thrilled to share this week's interview with you all. Not only do I have an amazing guest for you, but we are speaking about a topic that is seriously hot right now, and that is live class streaming. So settle in because there is a bucket load of information about to come your way. The Fitness Business Podcast, along with our foundation partner, Active Management, were media partners of the 2018 Motionsoft Technology Summit. And following the event, I had the opportunity to speak with a number of the panelists, and one of those people is today's special guest. Lauren Foundos is the CEO of Forte, a business that streams live and on-demand fitness classes directly to your device. The classes are led by top trainers from well-known boutique studios from all across the world. Prior to launching Forte, Lauren spent a decade working on Wall Street, with the last 5 years in finance on the trading floor as an institutional US government bond broker. Here is a snapshot of what we discuss during today's interview. Lauren explains how live class streaming works, how much it costs to get set up, and the effect that it has on member retention. We talk about ways that live streaming can integrate with wearable technology, plus she walks us through a case study of a business who has installed live streaming. Now we're about to transition to my chat with Lauren, but first here's a quick message from our podcast partner. If you haven't explored a functional training space for your gym, then now is the time. With QueenX Functional Training by Precor, there is a unit to fit every space. Plus, education is included to ensure that training is delivered with confidence. To find out more, go to Precor.com/fitness business podcast. Enjoy this week's interview with our special guest, Lauren Foundos. I am seriously excited about today's guest. Not only is this an incredibly hot topic to talk about, but we have an amazing guest joining us today to talk about it. Lauren, welcome and thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat today.
Now, I think I should give everyone a little bit of background because we met only recently at the Motionsoft Technology Conference. And would it be fair to say that we pretty much bonded straight away over our mutual love of high intensity exercise?
I was going to say it was one of the first workout. The harder it was, the happier we both were. So I was like, this is the perfect fit.
It was the perfect fit. So I think we somehow transitioned from talking about working out and our love of fitness to actually talking about what you do in the industry. And our topic for today, of course, is live class streaming. Now, as I mentioned right up front, this is a hot topic. It's something that we're starting to get into and we're starting to understand more. But I thought that the best place to start with today is perhaps you can explain to us in non-technical terms exactly how live class streaming works.
Yeah, so basically we knew for fitness facilities that we were going to have to build an end-to-end solution that kind of worked magically, that would eliminate them from the process, because they're obviously focusing on what they do great and creating great content and having a great facility. And so that's what we wanted to stay focused on. So we built a real seamless end-to-end solution where we install like typically 3 to 5 cameras in a studio space and put a server there on site. And that server acts as basically the producer of the class all on its own. So when the instructor plugs their phone in to put their Spotify on and puts their mic on to begin teaching, this automation turns on all 5 cameras, produces the class in real time, and then shuts itself off. So just as you would see, as a producer would have all these different screens and they're changing the camera angles and mixing things up, our automation is doing that on its own because it knows what the class is going to look like and do. So, and then it shuts itself off. So all the classes then stream live and then they're available on demand thereafter. And from the studio's perspective, they're just teaching the class that they teach normally and doing what they normally do.
That is absolutely phenomenal. So as a member of a specific facility, what you're saying to me is that I have increased options to exercise because I can rock up to my studio, I can do a class there, but I can also go home later and see my very same instructor and either do a repeat of that class or do a different class from my own facility. Is that correct?
Exactly. So we have a couple of use cases. One is where we stream boutique fitness studios to sort of our marketplace, like a Netflix hub of this all-you-can-eat classes. And then we're also doing a SaaS play. So for a traditional club, for them to stream their own classes to their own people if they miss a class, or if maybe they're not even comfortable taking a class, and so they want to kind of check it out on their own time. And so those are sort of the 2 different use cases. This B2B play where we're empowering the studios to live broadcast, and then also this marketplace that we've created where we stream these various studios to a subscription that members can watch whatever they want.
If you were to have a look at the market right now in 2018, from a percentage perspective, roughly how many clubs do you think, let's say across the US, are currently utilizing a service such as yours?
So I think there's a couple dynamics to this that are important, but I think the fitness industry in general now has 42% of its revenue coming from studios. So for the clubs, I think they need to be doing the things that their studios are doing. And the studios are now, when I started this business over 3 years ago, the studios were not that keen on streaming and neither were the gyms. And now everyone is like, I need to be streaming. So it's been great to watch that shift happen, but people, almost everybody now wants to have some form of a online presence and the ability to get their, content beyond, just the gym or have it available, after just, people go to a class. So I think everybody kind of sees that now, which has been really exciting for us. Before I was sort of having to really sell the future and the vision for the future, and now it's here. So it's been really good in that respect, if that makes sense.
Lauren, talk us through the practical side of this, because you mentioned that your software in particular, it automatically switches on and you've got these cameras in the studio. So tell us exactly how that setup looks and what a fitness business owner would have to go through to actually get that set up within their business, within their studio.
Yeah, so the studio in our case usually pays for the hardware and software, and then we rev share with them if they're streaming to our subscription service. And the process starts really with us, taking like thousands of pictures in the studio from all these different angles, understanding what the classes look like and where the warm-up faces and, how everything works in there. And then we try all these different lenses and really understand the lighting and all these variables. In Peloton, for instance, they're building a recording studio, right? So their facility is made for that. We're going into a gym that has, a room that has classes, right? So they have windows and the windows bring in light, and there's all these variables, right? That we've learned to combat because we're not going into a recording studio. We're taking what they have and we're making it look great. So we do all these variable things, and then we come up with the best, solution to fix these cameras. And then once we install the hardware, we hardwire it into the walls and basically put a little tiny black sort of computer box in there. And then that's how we speak to the studio, and that's how we make everything work magically from our end. And so then we go through the trainers and we set their voices, so the louder they yell, and get all this, basically the mixing of all the audio set. And then from there they simply go on a calendar, schedule a class, put the day, time, the instructor. When you select the class, it knows what specific mix to do or how to produce it, and then it magically goes off from there.
Wow, this is phenomenal. Now, so we're talking about live streaming from a studio perspective. What if I was a personal trainer and maybe I had a variety of locations? Maybe I had some indoor sessions, maybe I had some outdoor sessions. Can an individual trainer utilize these live streaming services, or do you work primarily with fitness studios only?
We work primarily with studios, but we did set up sort of a location to bring in trainers that were not associated to our studios because, we realized out of the gate, if we have 1,000 yoga studios, the user doesn't know what yoga studio to watch. But so we realized that if the kind of a curated mix was the best approach, but at the same time, we realized there's going to be great people that don't work at the places that we're partnering with. And so we kind of played devil's advocate against our own model, and sort of the rise of the trainers is a real thing. And they, to be able to empower them as well. So we are sort of in tandem bringing in trainers into kind of a non-branded facility to also give them a shot as well. And I think ultimately, if somebody's doing a great job and garnering a lot of action, it shouldn't necessarily matter whether it's a person or a studio. So we're sort of playing devil's advocate in that way against ourselves. But I think we certainly are open to kind of creating a facility like you're explaining where somebody could go in and create live content, because I think the demand is so high for people to have that. And so that's where we're really closed about leveraging our technology and only doing it the way we envision, which is sort of this Netflix hub of all the classes. But now we're sort of open to, exploring a sort of SaaS opportunity where somebody can, install this technology for whatever purpose that they want, because we have the answer. And so we're like, we should just empower everybody that wants to do it in the way that they see fit and sort of, make it work for us financially, however, the deal is going to work. So at this point now we are expanding sort of out of that.
Lauren, for the club owners that are listening at the moment that are intrigued by this concept, can you give us a rough ballpark figure of, what the investment is for someone to get up and running with streaming live video or live classes from their studio?
Yeah, so from us, for the clubs now, we've just started to do this. And so because we're not getting the user revenue like we are in the other model, we have to sort of do it as a software as a service type of play. Mm-hmm. And so really the cost would come down to, we're going to integrate it into your website. So however you want that to look and feel, and we're going to give you 100 features, right? Reserving a spot for a live class, leaderboards, right? All these different features. And you're going to pick the features that you want. So that will dictate sort of that upfront cost, depending on what you want and what you don't want. It could be, between 10,000 and 25,000, I guess, depending on how crazy you sort of want it to get. The hardware typically costs $10,000. We don't upsell it. It could be slightly more or slightly less if you have more or less cameras, because the cameras are a heavy part of the cost. And then from there, you're basically going to pay for what you use. So the more you use it, the better it's working for you, the more you'll pay, but the happier you'll be because it's working. So then the costs are basically fixed off, the minutes watch, and it will scale up, and the numbers will, the cost will decrease as you continue to use it in size. So the main thing is this upfront sort of hardware and software integration, and the rest is basically, scaling on how much usage you're getting.
I know that one of the, concerns that some club owners have had in regards to virtual fitness and this type of operation is that perhaps it draws members to exercise outside the club, which is what we're talking about. In your experience, what effect has live class streaming had on member retention? Are there any case studies that you can share with us for how that dynamic has worked for a club that's been traditionally just utilising live classes in the studio to then incorporating the streaming so that members can access it from home as well?
Yes, I think people always think it's going to cannibalize their business, and it's not going to do that. It's exciting when we partner with a new studio. They're always worried about that, and then they start to get emails from people, I don't live there anymore, they've moved away, and they're so pumped to be taking the class. Or maybe they can't go on Tuesdays and Thursdays because their kids have soccer practice, and now they're taking it at home, and so they're still engaging in their brand. So it's great to see those emails come. For, I think, the one or two people that it would displace, I think the amount of people they see that are having a positive effect has been really exciting. Nothing replaces an in-studio experience. That would be like having a robot as a boyfriend, right? There's the future and those things are happening, but nothing replaces a person. I think the other thing too, and the argument I always make is like, the NFL is on TV and people don't not go to games because they can watch it at home. And Beyonce's on the radio and people don't not attend her concerts because they can get it at home. It's almost the opposite effect. It drives people in the doors. Like once more people are talking about it, they start to become curious about what's going on in there. And so I think even, watching Peloton, you could see the same thing. People are curious what it's like and what goes on in there. I think it actually does the opposite of what people's fears are.
Lauren, one of the topics that we talked about during the Motionsoft Technology Summit was wearable technology. Can you tell us, how does live streaming work with wearable tech to actually enhance the user experience?
Yeah, I think it's an important part of it. We are so right now, if you reserve a spot for an upcoming live class, your instructor knows you're taking it. And we just completed the integration of Wearable. So to create live leaderboards, similar to that of what Orange Theory has done and MyZone has done and stuff like that. So that way they can really connect the remote user to the room. But more importantly than that, I think just my kind of macro thesis around digital health in general is I really want to change the narrative of, losing 30 pounds in 30 days and all this other stuff that's been put out there to, you can use the wearable data in a way that shows people that, hey, maybe you didn't lose weight since you started working out, because that's highly tied to eating plain chicken and salads. but this is still working for you. Your heart is working more efficiently. Like this working out, even though you don't have a six pack, and people get so disappointed when right away they didn't shred all this weight, because that's tied a lot to diet, right? So I think being able to show people that this is really good for your heart is happier. This is good for you, I think will be a powerful tool. And just as people with the counting of 10,000 steps, it really triggered something in a lot of people. They were like, I got to get to that 10,000. And, it was great. I'm like, God bless you. Just realize that, moving is an important thing, but it did do that to people. And I do think there was something really powerful there. And so as these new wearables come out too, that sort of take a 3D scan of your body and track your movements, like if you do a bicep curl or a push-up, and it knows what you're doing and it's counting those reps, I think that information will also be really important because, if you're a high-level athlete or, a big jack guy in the gym, you're writing down bench 180 6 times. That's how you get stronger, really keeping track of that. But most people aren't that neurotic. So I think if that information is syncing wirelessly, I think that's game changing for people, being able to show them their perceived intensity may be that they're killing themselves, but then the facts are they really did 50% less work, right? So I think that information given to somebody in a fun way will be really helpful for them. And I also, just believe, currently if you have a job and you get health insurance and you go to the gym to get money back, you bring a form in and you say, can you sign this and say I was here 200 times, and the guy at the desk will sign it. And I think, the wearable data will be something that the insurers will look at eventually and reward you for that, just as you get penalized for smoking and stuff like that. So I think the digital play is one for the gamification, and two, for the health insurer. And also, as medical devices continue to get more connected, the doctor will be able to use that information as well in the future.
I really look forward to hearing how that journey progresses, and perhaps what we could do is touch base. I'm thinking this time next year, because I'd love to see how that's progressed and where the live streaming or live class streaming industry is when it comes to wearable tech. Lauren, I was hoping that maybe you might be able to talk us through a case study, because I always feel like the best way to truly understand the way that a new technology or a new product comes to market is by looking at it through the eyes of a gym owner. So if you were to choose, and you don't need to name names, but if you were to choose a case study of someone that you've worked with that has gone from being a standalone studio, bricks and mortar, to implementing live class streaming and what they've gone through along the way and the benefits that they've gotten and how it's kind of transformed the business, can you walk us through a case study that you've experienced firsthand and just talk us through that?
For sure. Yeah. I think it's funny. The first installation for us was a very, a roller coaster of emotions, because the studio was experiencing these emotions. Now I've been through it so many times. So I know the stages of emotion that they go through, right? Because as a gym owner, you install this hardware and you need to tell the people in your facility, and they see it. And so, obviously it's really tiny, but they still see it the first day. And so they're all asking questions, and the owner is always like, panicking, right? It's like, oh, was this a good idea? They're questioning everything. And the first time this happened, I was having a heart attack myself, but now I know the process and I know the end result through this transformation is a great place. But so the first days they're kind of stressed out. They're like, people are asking questions and good and bad. And so that always happens. And then within 2 days after everyone figures out what's going on, nobody even cares anymore that that's happening, right? They forget about it. It's little tiny things. It doesn't affect your day-to-day operations. The whole point in the way we operate is that we aren't affecting your homeostasis, that we're integrating into what you currently do, and everything is done the same. So quickly that fear starts to go away. And slowly the gym, like I said, then starts to kind of get these emails from people being like, blast from the past sort of, people are reaching out and loving that they found this ability to use their content. And from our perspective too, then we give the gym a lot of information, saying these 500 users users have come from you. These 3,000 users didn't come from you. And Barbara watches, 20% of her time at your content. And the next month she watched 30 and now 50. So this lady's kind of gaining traction on your content. So kind of giving them the data to, be able to talk to these users and ultimately the users are going to do in the marketplace study sort of a lot of cardio, right? The cardio girl's going to run and then she spins. And so they kind of move around this wheel and stay in the marketplace as opposed to churning out because they have all these options. And then we also give them data just, on most watched class and most popular times, and even just the language that's used in the things like everybody searches abs. So like, so even just like kind of what people think they want, right? So again, abs, you need to diet a lot to let those babies show, but people like that. So it's interesting just the language then when they're not, seeing the class or they don't know the people, like what they find important and what they're looking up. And we can actually see, which is kind of creepy, but we can see the user's, experience on the website. So where they're trying to click that maybe they can't or what they're searching. And so we can kind of figure out a lot of stuff like that from just watching those videos and really help to iterate and also help the studio iterate the in-studio experience, right? I think a lot of instructors we found a lot of instructors watching themselves or watching other instructors. And so that was also something interesting. One of our studios has a certification program. So after people got the cert, they were then watching the people, continuing on. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I think now with the internet, people used to be scared that their method would be shown or people could copy it. And I think now the internet is what it is. And you need to be on the internet and own it. And everyone will say they're doing your thing as opposed to trying to keep it in the doors of your gym and keep it a secret, because I don't think that's the world that we live in. And I also believe too, like you can have 500 brick and mortars across the country, but the power of the internet is very real. I mean, Blockbuster in the States was eliminated off the planet because they didn't build Netflix, right? So I think trying to not adopt technology can be a dangerous thing. And it's been exciting to watch the studios go through this transformation and be pumped. And now they're like, what do we do next? Like to watch them get to the point where they get it now. And so it's been really exciting going through those journeys with different brands.
I think it's really interesting what you were just saying about data, because it sounds to me like the level of insights that you're getting into a lot of the members and the people that are taking place in the classes is probably a lot more insights than what we would have ordinarily about our members. So I think that's really interesting, and how you can utilize that data to kind of think about what we're providing to our members on a day-to-day basis within the clubs.
Or even what they're skipping. If they fast forward moves or like segments where you're going on a, finding yourself spiel or whatever it may be, they're not going to tell you that granular of, feedback basically. And so that also is important. You can iterate the experience, or if they're rewinding and going back to doing things that they loved, I think that feedback, that's the answer right there. And nobody's going to give you that broken down, even no matter how much they love you, isn't going to give you that much broken down feedback, because it would be hypercritical. So that information, I think, just from the classes alone is really helpful for the studios.
And what about when it comes to integrating various types of software? Because you mentioned earlier that one of the things that you do is you have like the class scheduling and people can go in and choose the classes. But obviously a lot of or majority of fitness business owners will have existing software associated to the business. So does the live class streaming tech have a way of communicating and working in, or how does that side of the kind of, you can tell this is not my area of specialty, but how does the tech integration side work with existing software and then bringing in a new platform?
Yeah, we don't have it so it integrates currently with anything, because the majority of our software is the automation or the production of the class. Mm-hmm. So we don't have it so that they can kind of go off their current schedule or like maybe sync their mind body class info, because once they create the class, it's really just a one-time thing. And then the information's there. So it's not like that. It's so it would save so much time to actually connect the things at this point. We haven't really had a case where we've done it yet. We've thought about doing it or allowing somebody to use their mind body login or kind of those things potentially. If we see enough demand for that, and if we think it really enhances the user experience, we'll certainly explore those things, because we don't want people having to log in a million different places. And the more friction, the less people will like the product. So we're not opposed to doing it, but we haven't found a case where it really yes, cemented and solidified and made things easier for anybody at this point yet.
Okay. Lauren, you've given us such a fantastic overview about live class streaming, and I think you've really helped us understand the process a whole lot better. So let's wrap everything up today, and perhaps you can share with us 3 tips for clubs to be actually utilizing live streaming within the next 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's important to utilize live streaming. One, I think it gives people a chance to experience things that they may not be willing to go take the class, or people are nervous to take classes. And I think shows them, it will get more people trying more things and engaged in your brand. And obviously you can use it however you see fit, but you could geo-target people that aren't actually going to your facility yet and try to get them to come in by giving them that content, right? The content doesn't have to be your spin class because the person at home doesn't have a bike, but you can make content that would cater to somebody that isn't currently going to the gym, right? So once the hardware is there, you can live stream and do whatever you want, right? You could try a million different things. It doesn't cost anything to produce it, right? It's easy to produce at that point. So I think that's a great way to use that. And I know from the instructors that are here in New York where I live, which, New York is so intense and so crazy with fitness. But I think, some of those instructors, they don't want to teach somewhere where they're not live streaming now, because once they start live streaming and they're talking to more than the 30 people in that room, it becomes a really powerful thing for them, that to go back to just being in the 4 walls seems like a digression. And that's what's happening here in New York on in the kind of most cutting edge phase of that. So I think it's something to keep in mind. And obviously, video content is so valuable now. Facebook prioritizes video content, Instagram. So being able to just have this to even make social media content, I think is a powerful tool. And I think, people always look at Peloton and say that, they built so much and spent so much money, building this product, but their community lives pretty much on Facebook, which is free. So I think, to see what these great brands are doing and emulate them in a way that's cost effective, right? So you don't need to raise $1 billion and build Peloton, but with $10,000 of hardware, right, you can do the same thing and do it on a different scale. So I think that it's important to keep advancing with technology and staying up with the trends, but you don't need to, go crazy spending tons of money to do it. I think there's ways now, and hopefully we're that solution in terms of the live streaming that makes it affordable.
That is phenomenal, Lauren. Thank you so much. And I want to just encourage everyone to actually jump on and have a look at your website, because I found that going on to the Forte website was, for me, a really good way to truly understand how your particular product works and get a really good visual of what it looks like and how people can get involved. So I'm going to put all of your details in today's show notes. So Lauren, thank you. I'm so thrilled that we met, not only because next time I'm in New York City, we are training together.
I'm counting minutes.
It's going to be brilliant. So listen, thank you so much for joining us on the show. This has been absolutely brilliant, and thank you for being a guest on the Fitness Business Podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
MyZone is a wearable technology platform that leverages personal goal setting, gamification, and social platforms to motivate your members. To find out more, go to myzone.org.
Precore Quickfire 5.
As mentioned at the start of the show, the Fitness Business Podcast, along with our foundation partner, Active Management, were media partners of the 2018 Motionsoft Technology Summit. Following the event, I had the opportunity to speak with a number of the panelists, and next week's guest was one of those people. Enjoy this week's Precore Quickfire 5 with the Senior Business Manager of Listen 360, Katie Bossy. A very warm welcome to our special guest for today. Katie, welcome, and thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're going to dive straight into the Precore Quickfire 5 questions. Can you start off by telling everyone, why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because I am very passionate about people. I'm passionate about connecting people and really helping businesses build a better service and a better community.
And what's one ritual that helps you become better at what you do?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is taking a deep breath and pausing. It's so important for me because I'm very high energy to take a breath and really take a second in my conversations and my daily interactions to really hear and focus on what other folks are telling me and how to best appropriately help in each individual conversation.
And what's one app or system that you use to stay in control of your workload?
I live in Salesforce. I am in sales and I live in Salesforce and could not go a day without it.
Excellent. And what's one book, podcast, or blog that you would recommend and why?
I think the book I would probably most recommend and do most often recommend is The Ultimate Question 2.0 by Fred Reichheld, which focuses on the Net Promoter methodology, which is obviously a methodology that my company Listen 360 uses in our platform. And it really just helps businesses become more member-centric.
Thank you for that. We haven't had that recommendation before, so we'll definitely grab that link for the show notes. And give everyone just a brief overview on the topic that we're going to be speaking about during your main interview.
Absolutely. So today we're going to be talking about the 5 myths of customer service, which are 5 topics that we have found in our research at Listen 360 are maybe a little bit outdated when it comes to how best to serve members and how best to focus effort within your business. So I'm excited to dive into those.
We are really excited to chat to you about those. So Katie, thank you for joining us today for the Pre-Call Quickfire 5.
My pleasure.
Join fitness industry peers from around the globe at the 6th Annual Motionsoft Technology Summit in Washington, D.C. You'll learn how the most successful operators in the fitness industry have implemented technology solutions and tools to improve operations, increase productivity, and exceed member expectations. Visit MotionsoftTechnologySummit.com today to register for the 2019 Motionsoft Technology Summit. Before we finish off today, one quick and very important announcement for everyone that is coming to URSA 2019. You are all invited to the FBP Family Meetup on Wednesday, March the 13th at 6 a.m. If you're not familiar with our meetup walks, this is an active networking event. We walk and we talk for 45 minutes and we return back to the main entrance of the Marriott Marquis San Diego Marina by 6:50 a.m. The meetup is completely free and it is the best way to start your day. We do need to know attendance numbers, so please make sure that you jump over to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, go to the top of the page and click on the tab called Meetup. Then register your details for the URSA walk. Now, if you need any more information whatsoever, please just email me directly at chantal@fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Before we finish off today, a reminder that all the resources, the links, and of course the transcript for today's show can all be found at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Team Rockstar Fit is an award-winning mastermind team that helps fit pros lead happy and balanced lives. Get mentoring and support. Learn how to grow your business online with Beachbody. You can apply for a free consultation today at teamrockstarfit.com. As we come to the end of today's show, I want to say a big thank you to our foundation partner, Active Management. If there's a hole in your lead bucket, you'd fix it. Our founding partner, Active Management, will help you plug the hole in your online lead generating channel with a free download at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/active. Thank you for joining me for another week of the show. I look forward to seeing you next week. And remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.